Hello to everyone. My name is Neil Tenzer. I'm the CEO of NsKnox Technologies. NsKnox is a company that operates in the field of corporate payment protection and financial system protection. It's the like of wire transfer, ACH, and so forth. It is clear today that there is no entity which is strong enough to protect itself alone. Regardless of the amount of efforts and knowledge that you put into protecting your lifeblood, actually, the financial transactions, everyone can be breached. We see financial institutions like banks, governments, and so forth that actually suffers on a daily basis from breaches. This is a very interesting use case. Please meet Evaldas. Mr. Evaldas is the CEO of Quantum Computing. Quantum Computing is one of the largest hardware manufacturers based in Taiwan. Two things that I've noticed about Mr. Evaldas, that he's not originally from Taiwan, and secondly, is not looking very happy. And the reason being is that Mr. Evaldas is actually the CEO of Quantum Computing in Lithuania. And what he's done, he established a company, Quantum Computing in Lithuania, same name, by the way, as Quantum Computing in Taiwan, managed to breach into the email system of Quantum Computing in Taiwan, sending emails to all of their customers, clients, asking them to direct any future payment not to the bank account of Quantum Computing in Taiwan, but to Quantum Computing in Lithuania. He managed to steal in 2 years $120 million from companies like Facebook and Google. Rest assured that these are companies with a strong account payable regulatories and policies. And actually managed, after 2 years, FBI managed to hold on and actually brought him into justice. This is one case out of many. And we see more and more organizations that have been hit and suffered from financial fraud, cyber fraud. This is actually astonishing. 78% in 2017, 78% of the market in the US lost money due to cyber fraud. 78%. In the past, companies were focusing on protecting their information and the identity of the users because of the digital transformation. Financial innovation were a little bit slower, hence attacks were a little bit slimmer. Now we see more and more attacks that are directed to the lifeblood of the organization, to the financial transactions. The SEC in the US and of course FBI did a report recently and actually claimed that the cyber fraud, the losses from business email compromise on financial systems is the highest out-of-pocket losses from any kind of cyber fraud in a country, any kind. The thing is that it's very, very complex. The challenge is very, very complex because we have a chain of payment. We have the payer, the corporate on one hand, and the supplier on the other end, and the banks and the chain of payments in between. All the chain is actually under threat coming from both what we call IT infrastructure attacks, that can be any kind of cyber attacks, insider threats, IT manager that can have privileges and can change accounts, or even human error, but also social engineering, what we call also business email compromise, which is a very, very sophisticated and it's very hard to stop. The strength of this chain is defined by the weakest link. You as a payer can be perfectly okay. If the supplier has been breached, like in quantum computing, the entire chain is actually under threat. And in the end of the day, we have a few questions to ask. First, how can I make sure that I'm paying to the right supplier? More than that, how can I make sure that I'm paying to the right bank account of the suppliers? There's no way to validate it today. How can I make sure that my ACH files, wire transfer, were not manipulated and changed and directed to a different address? And how can I make sure that my employees will not fall victim to social engineering? This is our solution, Transaction Authority. What we're doing, it's an overlay layer, external layer of a payment protection, oversee the entire transaction journey from the payer to the PE via the banks. We're not changing, this is very important, the existing payment systems. We're just adding a layer of protection and verifying that you are paying to the right supplier and to his right bank accounts. Given the time, I will rush. Very easy and quick installation, as I tell, is a SaaS system, account payable and account receivable, extremely exponentially operational efficiency, and of course SOX regulated, SEC in accordance to compliance and their guidance, and of course enhance the DNO, Director and Officer liabilities. Few words about the company. The company was established in 2016. by Alon Cohen. Alon Cohen was also the founder of CyberArk, one of the largest, second largest cybersecurity company, came out of Israel, based in Boston, $4 billion worth. Established the company. I joined after many years in Microsoft, 11 years. Most recently, we closed our Series A round with Microsoft leading the round, invested in the company and going to promote us to their customer base, including Viola Ventures, which is the leading fintech VC in Israel, and also one of the banks in Israel, one of the largest banks in Israel, which is also going to be a partner, customers, and of course, an investors. Thank you so much. Any questions? Good. Yes. Just a second, I can't hear you.
You are talking about banking transactions, but for payments, but how you would fit within the payments industry itself, so card acquirers and acceptance.
Currently, we're not operating on the C2C or B2C space. We're operating on the B2B, meaning corporates paying to suppliers, to organizations, also consumer, namely paychecks. So we validate the authenticity of the payment. We validate that this is the right supplier. We validate that this is the right bank account of the supplier, because there is no way to validate it today. And we verify that there's no manipulation throughout the journey. But again, between B2B and not B2C and not issuers and credit cards today. Thank you so much. Enjoy the day.
All right.